I never thought the day I took 2 bullets for my boss would be the day my daughter finally got a mother. She was the coldest woman in the city, they called her the Ice Queen. But sometimes, one sacrifice can melt even the most frozen heart. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The rain hammered against the glass windows of Sterling Industries headquarters like angry fists demanding entry. Inside the top floor conference room, the air felt just as violent, but in a different way. Emma Sterling stood at the head of the mahogany table, her ice blue eyes cutting through the 5 executives sitting before her like a knife through paper. At 32, she was the youngest billionaire in the city, and definitely the coldest. Her black suit was sharp enough to draw blood, and her expression could freeze water in summer. Your department lost $3 million this quarter, she said, her voice calm but deadly. Give me one reason why I shouldn't fire all of you right now. The executives shifted in their seats. One brave soul tried to speak. Ms. Sterling, the market conditions. Market conditions? Emma's laugh was bitter and short. I don't pay you to make excuses. I pay you to make money. You have 48 hours to fix this, or you're done. She turned and walked toward the door, her heels clicking on the marble floor like a countdown timer. The executive sat frozen, too afraid to even breathe loudly. This was Emma Sterling. The woman who fired her own cousin on Christmas Eve. The woman who once made a grown man cry during a presentation. The woman who had built a billion-dollar empire on ice and iron, with no room in her heart for anything soft. The media called her the Ice Queen. Her employees called her worse things when she wasn't listening. But nobody knew the real story. Nobody knew why Emma Sterling had locked her heart away and thrown away the key. Outside Emma's office, in a small cubicle near the elevator, sat Daniel Hayes. 29 years old, single father, and Emma's personal assistant for the past 6 months. It was the longest anyone had lasted in that position. Daniel was different from the others. When Emma yelled, he stayed calm. When she made impossible demands, he somehow made them happen. When she tried to break him with her coldness, he just smiled politely and said, "Yes, Ms. Sterling. Right away, Ms. Sterling." But the real reason Daniel stayed wasn't the good salary or the impressive resume line. It was because of the little girl waiting for him at home. Lily Hayes. 6 years old. Beautiful brown eyes full of life and questions. The daughter who had never known her mother, who had left them both when Lily was just 6 months old. Daddy doesn't need anyone else, Daniel would tell Lily when she asked why other kids had mommies. We have each other, and that's enough. But deep down, Daniel knew Lily dreamed of having a mother. He saw it in her eyes when she watched other families at the park. He heard it in her voice when she asked why he never went on dates. So Daniel worked hard. He worked for every smile on Lily's face. Every new dress. Every toy. Every chance at a better future. And if that meant working for the coldest woman in the city, then so be it. Mr. Hayes. Emma's sharp voice cut through his thoughts. She stood in her doorway, holding a folder. I need the Johnson contract reviewed and on my desk in 20 minutes. Daniel glanced at the folder. It was at least 200 pages long. 20 minutes, Ms. Sterling. Is there a problem? Her eyebrow arched like a weapon. No problem. Daniel took the folder. I'll get it done. As Emma turned away, something flickered across her face. Was it surprise? Respect? Daniel couldn't tell. With Emma Sterling, reading emotions was like reading a book written in invisible ink. That evening, Daniel's phone buzzed just as he was leaving the office. A text from Mrs. Chen, his neighbor who watched Lily after school. Lily has a fever. Nothing serious, but she's asking for you. Daniel's heart clenched. He grabbed his coat and rushed toward the elevator, nearly colliding with Emma, who was also leaving. Mr. Hayes, we need to, Emma started. My daughter is sick. I have to go. Daniel's voice was polite but firm. Emma's eyes narrowed. We have the Singapore meeting tomorrow. I need you to. Ms. Sterling. Daniel looked at her directly, something few employees dared to do. With all respect, my daughter comes first. Always. I'll prepare everything tonight after I make sure she's okay. For a long moment, Emma just stared at him. Then, something impossible happened. Go, she said quietly. Family comes first. Daniel blinked in surprise. Did Emma Sterling just say something human? But he didn't have time to wonder. He nodded quickly and ran for the elevator. Behind him, Emma stood alone in the hallway, watching him go. Her hand touched her chest, just over her heart, where an old pain lived. A pain she had buried 15 years ago, along with her ability to feel. Family comes first, she had said. Once upon a time, Emma had believed that too. Emma was 17 years old, sitting in a hospital corridor, her hands covered in blood. Not her blood. Her parents' blood. The car accident had happened so fast. One moment they were driving home from her school play, laughing about her performance. The next moment, there was screaming metal, breaking glass, and darkness. Emma had survived with barely a scratch. Her parents died on impact. Standing over their hospital beds, Emma made a promise to herself. Love was weakness. Attachment was pain. Family was something that could be ripped away in a heartbeat, leaving you with nothing but blood on your hands and screams in your throat. So she froze her heart. She built walls so high and thick that nothing could get through. She transformed herself from a broken girl into a machine that made money and crushed anyone who got in her way. By 25, she was a millionaire. By 30, a billionaire. But she was alone. Completely, utterly alone. And she told herself that was exactly how she wanted it. 3 weeks passed. Daniel continued working for Emma, somehow managing to meet her impossible demands while taking care of Lily. It wasn't easy. He barely slept. He survived on coffee and determination. But when Lily hugged him and said, "I love you, Daddy," every sacrifice felt worth it. Emma noticed things too. She noticed that Daniel's coffee cup was always empty by 10 a.m. because he gave Lily breakfast before work and skipped his own. She noticed the photos on his desk, Lily at the park, Lily at her school play, Lily asleep with a stuffed rabbit. She noticed that despite everything, Daniel smiled. Really smiled. Like he knew a secret about happiness that everyone else had forgotten. And for the first time in 15 years, Emma felt something stir inside the frozen walls around her heart. It felt uncomfortable. Like ice beginning to crack. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a Tuesday morning. Emma had a meeting with Viktor Volkov, a Russian businessman who wanted to invest in Sterling Industries. Daniel had warned her about him. "Ms. Sterling, I've done some research on Volkov. His business deals sometimes involve questionable practices. Maybe we should reconsider this meeting." Emma had dismissed his concerns with a wave of her hand. "I can handle Viktor Volkov. Set up the meeting." Now, sitting across from Volkov in the conference room, Emma was beginning to think Daniel had been right. Viktor Volkov was a big man with cold eyes and a smile that didn't reach them. He sat too close, spoke too familiarly, and his business proposal sounded more like a threat. "You are very beautiful woman, Emma Sterling," he said, pouring himself vodka even though it was 10 in the morning. "Very smart too. But you need strong man beside you. Man who can protect you. Man like me." "Mr. Volkov," Emma said coldly, "I'm interested in business, not personal compliments. If you have a genuine proposal, present it. Otherwise, this meeting is over." Volkov's smile disappeared. His eyes went hard. "You think you are so powerful. So untouchable. But everyone has weakness, Emma Sterling. Everyone. He stood up suddenly, and two large men who had been standing by the door moved forward. Emma's blood went cold. This wasn't a business meeting. This was something else. Something dangerous. "What is this?" she demanded, standing up. Her voice stayed calm, but fear was beginning to creep in. "Simple," Volkov said. "You sign over 30% of your company to me. Or my friends here will convince you. Maybe we take you somewhere quiet. Maybe you disappear for a few days. Maybe you come back, different." Emma's hand moved toward the phone on the table, but one of Volkov's men grabbed her wrist. That's when the conference room door burst open. Daniel stood there, and the look on his face was something Emma had never seen before. His usual calm was gone, replaced by fierce, protective anger. "Let her go." His voice was quiet but filled with steel. Volkov laughed. "Little assistant boy wants to play hero? Go back to your desk before you get hurt." "I said," Daniel stepped forward, "let her go." The man holding Emma's wrist pulled a gun from his jacket. Everything seemed to happen in slow motion after that. Emma saw the gun. She saw the man's finger move toward the trigger. She saw Daniel's eyes widen. And then Daniel was moving. He threw himself between Emma and the gun just as it fired. Once. Twice. Daniel's body jerked with each impact. He fell to the floor, blood spreading across his white shirt like terrible flowers blooming. "Daniel!" Emma's scream tore from her throat. She dropped to her knees beside him, her hands pressing against his wounds, trying to stop the bleeding. Her hands were covered in blood again, just like 15 years ago, but this time was different. This time she couldn't be frozen. This time she couldn't be numb. "Call an ambulance," she screamed at Volkov's men. "Call an ambulance now." The sound of sirens was already approaching. Someone must have heard the gunshots. Volkov and his men ran for the door, but Emma didn't care about them. She didn't care about anything except the man bleeding in her arms. "Daniel, stay with me," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. When was the last time she had cried? She couldn't remember. "Please stay with me. You have to stay with me. Lily needs you. Your daughter needs you." Daniel's eyes were foggy with pain, but he managed to speak. "Tell Lily, tell her daddy loves her. Tell her, she was my whole world." "No." Emma shook her head frantically. "You tell her yourself. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine." But there was so much blood. Too much blood. The paramedics burst through the door. They pulled Emma away from Daniel, loaded him onto a stretcher. Emma followed them into the ambulance, still covered in his blood, still crying. She held his hand the entire ride to the hospital, praying to a God she hadn't spoken to in 15 years. Praying like a child. Praying like someone who still believed in miracles. "Please," she whispered. "Please don't take him. Please." The surgery took 7 hours. Emma sat in the hospital waiting room the entire time, Daniel's blood still on her hands and clothes. She didn't move. Didn't eat. Didn't drink. She just sat there, remembering every sharp word she had ever said to Daniel. Every impossible demand. Every time she had been cold when he had only shown her kindness. And she thought about Lily. Sweet Lily, who would be getting home from school right now, expecting to see her father. Lily, who might have to grow up without him, just like Emma had grown up without her parents. The walls around Emma's heart didn't just crack anymore. They shattered. Completely. And behind those walls was 15 years of pain that she had never let herself feel. She cried like she had never cried before. For her parents. For the girl she used to be. For all the years she had wasted being frozen and alone. And for Daniel, the man who had shown her that maybe, just maybe, it was okay to feel again. Family of Daniel Hayes. Emma jumped up as the surgeon approached. Her heart was pounding so hard she thought it might explode. How is he? Is he alive? The surgeon looked tired but smiled. He's alive. The surgery was successful. He was very lucky. A few millimeters different, and... He shook his head. But he's going to make it. He'll need time to recover, but he's going to be okay. Emma's knees went weak with relief. She had to sit down before she fell down. Can I see him? He's still unconscious, but yes. Room 302. Emma walked to Daniel's room on shaking legs. When she opened the door and saw him lying there, pale and connected to machines but breathing, alive, she started crying again. She sat beside his bed and took his hand, very carefully because of all the 4 lines. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry, Daniel. You shouldn't have had to save me. You shouldn't have had to risk your life. But you did, and I don't know how to thank you. I don't know how to. Miss Sterling. Emma turned. A nurse stood in the doorway. There's a little girl downstairs asking about her father. She's with a Mrs. Chen. Should I bring them up? Lily. Oh God, Lily. Emma's first instinct was to run. She didn't know how to talk to children. She didn't know how to offer comfort. She was the Ice Queen, remember? She didn't do feelings. But then she looked at Daniel's face, peaceful in sleep, and she remembered him throwing his body between her and a bullet. Not once, but twice. She stood up, straightened her bloody clothes, and nodded. Yes. Bring her up. Lily Hayes was small for 6 years old, with her father's kind eyes and a stuffed rabbit clutched in her arms. When she saw Emma, she stopped in the doorway, scared and confused. Where's my daddy? Her voice was tiny and shaking. Mrs. Chen said he got hurt. Where is he? Emma knelt down so she was eye level with Lily. The movement felt strange. Emma Sterling didn't kneel for anyone. But this wasn't anyone. This was Daniel's daughter. This was his whole world. Your daddy is right here, Emma said softly, pointing to the bed. He's sleeping now, but he's going to be okay. Lily's eyes filled with tears. What happened? Why is he hurt? Emma hesitated. How do you tell a child that her father took bullets meant for you? That he might have died because of you? But Lily deserved the truth. Your daddy saved me, Emma said quietly. Bad men tried to hurt me, and your daddy protected me. He was very brave. The bravest man I've ever known. Lily walked slowly to the bed, still clutching her rabbit. She looked at her father, at all the machines, at the bandages. Then she did something that broke Emma's heart all over again. She climbed very carefully onto the bed, curled up next to her father without touching his injuries, and whispered, "It's okay, Daddy. I'm here. Lily is here. You can rest now." Emma had to turn away and press her hand against her mouth to keep from sobbing out loud. Mrs. Chen touched Emma's shoulder. She's been doing that since her mother left. Whenever Daniel is stressed or sad, Lily tells him it's okay to rest because she's there. She learned it from him. That's what he tells her every night before bed. That did it. Emma couldn't hold back anymore. She walked to the window and cried silently while Lily lay curled up next to her father, both of them resting together. And Emma realized something that terrified and amazed her at the same time. She loved them. Somehow, without meaning to, without trying to, without even realizing it was happening, she had fallen in love with this man who showed her kindness every day, and with his daughter who knew how to love with her whole heart even though her mother had abandoned her. Emma Sterling, the Ice Queen, the woman with a frozen heart, was in love. And she had absolutely no idea what to do about it. Daniel woke up 3 days later. The first thing he saw was Lily asleep in the chair next to his bed, her rabbit on her lap. The second thing he saw was Emma Sterling, also asleep in another chair, her designer suit wrinkled and her perfect hair messy. He tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Pain shot through his chest. "Don't move." Emma's eyes opened instantly. She stood up and came to his side. "You were shot twice. You need to rest." "Lily?" His voice was rough and dry. "She's fine. She's been here every day. So has Mrs. Chen. And, so have I." Daniel looked at her carefully. This wasn't the Emma Sterling he knew. This Emma had red eyes from crying. This Emma had worry written all over her face. This Emma was different. "You stayed. You took 2 bullets for me, Daniel." "Of course I stayed." Emma poured him water from a pitcher. "The doctors say you'll recover fully, but it will take time. 6 to 8 weeks at least. I need to work. I need to. You need to rest." Emma's voice was firm. "Don't worry about work. Don't worry about money. Everything is taken care of." "But, Daniel." Emma sat down beside him, and for the first time, he saw tears in her eyes. "You saved my life. You threw yourself in front of bullets meant for me without thinking twice. You could have died. Lily could have lost her father. And it would have been my fault. It wasn't your fault. Those men were there because of my business. Because of my choices. Because I was too arrogant to listen when you warned me about Volkov." Emma's voice broke. "You almost died because of me. But I didn't." Daniel reached for her hand. "I'm okay. Lily is okay. That's what matters." Emma looked at their joined hands like she was seeing a miracle. "You said something before you passed out," she whispered. "You said to tell Lily she was your whole world. But Daniel, why did you save me? You barely know me. You have a daughter who needs you. Why would you risk everything?" Daniel was quiet for a long moment. "Do you really want to know?" "Yes. Because despite everything, Miss Sterling, despite how hard you try to hide it, I see you. I see the woman behind the ice. The woman who works 18-hour days because she's afraid of being alone with her thoughts. The woman who donated anonymously to Lily's school when they needed new books. The woman who pretends she doesn't care but always remembers everyone's birthdays." Emma's eyes went wide. "How did you?" "I'm your assistant. I notice things." Daniel smiled weakly. "And I see the pain you carry. I see the walls you've built. I understand them, because I've built some too, since Lily's mother left." "But Emma, can I call you Emma?" She nodded, unable to speak. "Emma, those walls won't protect you. They'll just keep you locked away from everything good in life. Trust me, I know." "So what do I do?" Emma whispered. "How do I feel again? How do I let people in? I don't know how anymore." Daniel squeezed her hand gently. "You start small. One day at a time. One person at a time. One moment at a time." Before Emma could respond, Lily stirred in her chair. Her eyes opened, and when she saw her father awake, she jumped up with a cry of joy. "Daddy! You're awake. You're awake." She started to climb onto the bed, but Emma caught her gently. "Careful, sweetheart. Your daddy is still healing. We have to be gentle, okay?" Lily nodded seriously and very carefully climbed up to hug her father, mindful of his injuries. Daniel looked at Emma over his daughter's head. She had called Lily, sweetheart. The Ice Queen had called his daughter, sweetheart, like it was the most natural thing in the world. And Emma was looking at them both with such tenderness that Daniel's heart ached. Maybe, he thought, they both could learn to feel again. Together. The weeks that followed changed everything. Emma took personal time off for the first time in 10 years. She visited Daniel every single day in the hospital, and when he was released, she visited him at his small apartment. She brought food, books, anything he or Lily might need. At first, it was awkward. Emma didn't know how to be around people outside of work. She didn't know how to talk to Lily without sounding like she was giving a business presentation. But Lily made it easy. She would climb onto Emma's lap and tell her about school. She would ask Emma to read her stories. She would take Emma's hand and pull her into games of pretend. And slowly, day by day, Emma learned to smile again. Really smile. Not the fake smile she used in business meetings, but genuine smiles that reached her eyes. Daniel watched it happen with wonder. He watched Emma teach Lily how to paint her nails. He watched Emma braid Lily's hair with surprising gentleness. He watched Emma laugh, actually laugh, when Lily told a silly joke. The Ice Queen was melting. And underneath the ice was someone beautiful. One evening, when Lily was asleep on the couch, Emma and Daniel sat together in the kitchen drinking tea. "I fired everyone involved in the Volkov meeting," Emma said quietly. "The security team who didn't properly vet him. The secretary who scheduled it. Everyone." "Emma. I know what you're going to say. That it wasn't their fault. That I should give them another chance." Emma looked down at her tea. "But I can't, Daniel. Every time I close my eyes, I see you getting shot. I see you falling. I see the blood. And I think, what if? What if you had died? What if Lily had lost you? How could I live with myself? But I didn't die. But you almost did." Emma's voice broke. "And I realized something. For 15 years, I've been living like I'm already dead. I've been so afraid of getting hurt that I've been hurting myself. I've been so afraid of losing people that I never let anyone get close enough to lose." She looked up at Daniel, and he saw tears in her eyes. "But you changed that. You and Lily. You showed me that being afraid to feel is worse than feeling and getting hurt. You showed me that love is worth the risk." Daniel set down his tea and took her hands. "Emma, are you saying?" "I'm saying I love you." The words came out in a rush, like she was afraid if she didn't say them quickly, she'd lose her courage. "I love you, Daniel Hayes. I love your kindness and your strength and the way you love your daughter with your whole heart. I love how you see the best in people even when they don't deserve it. I love how you never gave up on me even when I was terrible to you." She took a shaky breath. "And I love Lily. I love her laugh and her questions and her big heart. I love how she makes me want to be better. I love how she calls me Miss Emma like we're friends. I love." Daniel kissed her. It was gentle and sweet and perfect. When they pulled apart, both of them were crying. "I love you too," Daniel whispered. "I have for a long time. I was just afraid to say it." "Why?" "Because you're Emma Sterling. You're a billionaire. You could have anyone in the world. Why would you want a single father who lives in a small apartment and works as your assistant?" Emma laughed through her tears. "Because you're Daniel Hayes. You're the man who saved my life. You're the man who showed me how to feel again. You're the man whose daughter taught me that family isn't about blood, it's about who shows up. Who stays. Who loves you even when you're difficult and cold and broken." She cupped his face in her hands. "I don't want someone perfect, Daniel. I want you. You and Lily. If you'll have me. Daddy. Miss Emma." They both turned. Lily was standing in the doorway, rubbing her eyes sleepily. "Lily, sweetheart, did we wake you?" Emma asked. "Are you and Daddy, are you?" Lily's voice was hopeful. "Are you going to be my mommy?" Emma's breath caught. She looked at Daniel, who nodded encouragingly. She walked over to Lily and knelt down in front of her. "Lily, I know I can never replace your real mother. But if you'll let me, I would love to be part of your family. I would love to read you stories and braid your hair and be there for you always. Would that be okay?" Lily's answer was to throw her arms around Emma's neck. "I always wanted a mommy," she whispered. "I prayed every night for Daddy to find someone nice who would love us. And God sent you." Emma held Lily tight and cried into her hair. Behind them, Daniel was crying too. They stayed like that for a long time, the three of them holding each other, broken pieces fitting together to make something whole. 6 months later, Emma stood at the altar in a simple white dress, holding Daniel's hands. Lily stood beside them in a pink dress, holding both their rings. The wedding was small. Just close friends and Mrs. Chen, who was crying happy tears in the front row. Emma had no family left, and Daniel's family was small, but it didn't matter. They were making a new family. The three of them together. "Do you, Emma Sterling, take Daniel Hayes to be your lawfully wedded husband?" "I do." "Do you, Daniel Hayes, take Emma Sterling to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do." "And do you both promise to love and care for Lily Hayes as parents together?" "We do," they said in unison, looking down at Lily, who was beaming. "Then by the power vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride." Daniel kissed Emma gently while Lily jumped up and down clapping. "I have a mommy now," she announced to everyone. "I have a mommy and a daddy." Emma picked Lily up and held her while Daniel wrapped his arms around them both. "We have a family now," Emma whispered, tears of joy streaming down her face. "A real family." Later, at the small reception, Emma stood on the balcony watching Daniel dance with Lily. They were laughing, spinning around, and Lily's eyes were shining with pure happiness. Mrs. Chen joined Emma on the balcony. "You know," the older woman said, "when Daniel first started working for you, I told him it wouldn't last. I said the Ice Queen would break him like she broke everyone else." Emma smiled but didn't take her eyes off Daniel and Lily. "I was the Ice Queen, wasn't I? I was terrible." "You were hurt," Mrs. Chen corrected gently. "There's a difference. Hurt people. But healed people heal people. And Daniel healed you." "He saved me," Emma said softly. "In every way a person can be saved." "And you saved him too," Mrs. Chen said. "That man was drowning in responsibility and loneliness, trying to be everything for Lily by himself. Now he has you. Now Lily has you. And you have them. That's what family does. We save each other." Daniel looked up and saw Emma watching. He smiled and held out his hand, inviting her to join them. Emma walked across the room and stepped into his arms. Lily squeezed between them, and they danced together as one family, while everyone watched and smiled. 2 years later, Emma stood in her office looking out at the city. So much had changed since that terrible day when she almost lost Daniel. Sterling Industries was still successful, but Emma had changed how she ran it. She was still tough, still demanded excellence, but now she also demanded humanity. She gave her employees time with their families. She celebrated their successes. She helped them through their struggles. The media stopped calling her the Ice Queen. Now they called her the billionaire with a heart. But the biggest change was at home. Emma left work at 5 o'clock every day now to have dinner with Daniel and Lily. They had moved into a beautiful house with a big backyard where Lily played. Every night, Emma tucked Lily into bed and read her stories. Every night, Daniel held Emma and told her he loved her. And every night, Emma thanked God for the second chance she never thought she deserved. Some people never get to start over. Some people never get to heal their broken pieces and become whole again. Some people stay frozen forever. But Emma Sterling got lucky. She got saved by a single father who taught her that love was worth the risk. She got healed by a little girl who taught her that family was everything. She got a second chance to live and feel and be human. And she never took it for granted. Not for a single day. Mommy. Mommy. Lily burst into the office, followed by Daniel carrying a small bundle in a blanket. Emma's heart swelled. 6 months ago, they had adopted a baby boy. They named him Michael, and he had Daniel's eyes and Emma's stubborn determination. Sorry, Daniel said, grinning. Michael was fussy, and Lily wanted to see you. I made you a picture at school. Lily held up a drawing. It showed 4 stick figures holding hands. That's you and Daddy and me and baby Michael. We're a family. Emma took the picture and felt tears sting her eyes. Even after 2 years, she still cried at the smallest things. But these were good tears. Happy tears. It's perfect, baby, she said, hugging Lily. Just like our family. She looked at Daniel over Lily's head, and he smiled at her. That smile that had first cracked her frozen heart. That smile that had saved her life in every way that mattered. I love you, she mouthed to him. I love you too, he mouthed back. And in that moment, standing in her office with her husband, her daughter, and her baby son, Emma Sterling finally understood what it meant to be truly wealthy. It wasn't about money or power or success. It was about this. Love. Family. Second chances. It was about a single father who took 2 bullets to save her. And in doing so, had melted her frozen soul and given her a life worth living.